morning on another beautiful day in Beach Haven. My grandparents, the Hunts, and my parents, Pat and Dave Reynolds, became members in the mid-1950s. I know that some of you were friends with them, my Aunt Penny and my mother Pat. Unfortunately, neither of them are here today, since they both passed away in the early 90s. My dad tells me they used to love coming to the club and to dance with their friends, to the bands like Howard Lannon from Philadelphia and Lester Lannon from New York. My parents and their friends, the Yeomans and the Wind, sailed wooden sailfishes off the North Beach, where the Davits are currently located, and also off of Essex Beach. As a kid, I remember putting on a life-saving ring. You know, we used to wear those rings, and because we didn't have those. Well, in the junior sailing program, we had these bubble jackets.
Leather jackets.
You know, they weren't Coast Guard approved either. Anyway, there were no rules about sailing off the beach back then, and today they don't really like that too much. I was in the skipper-skipperette program during the late 1960s and the early 70s. On the first day, I remember going down to Webster's Lagoon and swimming off the Walton's dock. I spent my first week in a sneak box crewing for Tim Flagler, and Tim was great. He made me feel right at home on the water. Setting up the sneak box in the mornings was a lot of work. We would go to the sail off the barn over here, get this big heavy sailing rig, and then we carry it over to the front dock. And usually it was at low tide, and we were trying to put the end of the mast in the mast depth at low tide, and it would slide one way or the other, and we were always having trouble with that. So that was almost falling into the water. On rainy days, we learned how to mix fiberglass so we could fiberglass a map of the race course onto a board. The map showed all the club marks and channel markers around Mordecai. We stored this map on our sneak box, and each day the counselors would tell us where we were going to sail around Mordecai, which one of the letters that we had to go to. So we would keep that in the boat. After my first summer in the program, I really wanted a sneak box of my own. My dad found a pretty nasty old sneak box. It needed a complete overhaul. We took it back to my grandfather's garage and started the process of scraping it. We scraped it and sanded it, and it seemed like it took forever. It took 3 or 4 months, and we finally got it down and completely built it back up again. When we finished, she was the lightest and I thought the best looking sneak box. We painted her glossy white and had a blue and red racing stripe around the back. At that point, we decided to sell it right away so that we didn't ever have to work that hard on the sneak box. I never even sailed the boat. Instead, we sold it to the Schwendemans, and Dwight was out there in the race course beating us with it all the time. Next, we bought we thought it would be a low maintenance, and it was very low maintenance, fiberglass sneak box from the Balingees, called the Blue Noodle, which is on the board down there. It was sail number 122. And of course, I sailed 122 for the next 2 summers, right behind Tom. In 1971, my dad bought an O'Day day sailor. This is a great boat that we sailed all over the bay. I learned some skills from the jib and the spinnaker, which I hadn't sailed with before, which were useful because I went over to live with my aunt and uncle in Switzerland. Every weekend when it was warm, we would take their Swedish lake boat out on the lake and sail all over. This boat was really long, over 40 feet long. It was probably 8 feet wide, and it was extremely fast. In high school and college, I played a lot of golf. Some tennis, sailed, fished, and surfed when the waves were good. Summers during college, I was a lifeguard on Belvoir, so I had a chance to see many of our fellow members down on the beach. Many of my lifeguarding buddies have now become members, which is pretty interesting. Over to Stewart's and down to the end of the island in our day sail. As a result, Michael and Susie started sailing Opties and they already felt at ease sailing out on the big bay. Because both Mike and Susie loved sailing opties, Louise and I got involved in junior sailing and were asked to run the program with the Mastersons, which we did in 2000 and 2001. We took over the program from the Pillings and the Gilberts, and they helped us get going with a lot of experience. Our second summer we worked closely with Kevin and Margie, and it was a great experience, and we all enjoyed as we watched all the sailors learn to sail and play tennis. I have many fond memories of Little Lake, not only in the summers, but over many falls and springs planning opti practices at the Molly for national, regional, and our Little Lake sailors that wanted to train for national events. It was very rewarding because we had 9 Little Lake sailors qualify and attend the national team trials that we held here at the club. At team trials, 5 of those 9 sailors qualified for international events. This was outstanding. And in recent years, our junior sailing program has benefited from the experience that those sailors received in these competitions because they are now using that experience to train and teach our Little Lake sailors. Our children, Mike and Susie, just finished a great summer coaching here, as Tom pointed out. Susie sailed a 420 all spring at her high school, and Mike found some time to sail his laser this summer in the club series. They were sad not to be here today, unfortunately, but they had to attend their new semester at college. They actually have classes tomorrow.
And today.
I've also enjoyed sailing with Peter, Laura, and Missy Maskell in a catboat, Tom. That's really been a lot of fun. It's really a thrill to be out on the race course in competition with all our sailing friends. I love watching for wind and the east gales that are coming down on us because they go very quickly and all of a sudden they're there. It is also fun listening to the radio and hearing the voices of Bob and Henry, Dave and Dave, with wind directions, course corrections, and froggy sounds. In light of my new position, I am hoping to bring more golf to the aqua. I enlisted the help of my son Mike, who liked to draw golf courses when he was younger. We have come up with a preliminary sketch of a new 9-hole golf course on Mordecai Island. For your consideration. Well, part of that, we were hoping for a floating green right out here in the middle, like down at Sawgrass. Anyway, some years ago we hit some shots with Walter to see how far it was over to Mordecai, and there are a few golf balls over there right now. Anyway, all kidding aside, Louise and I are genuinely honored to accept the position of Rear Commodore at Little Lake Harbor Yacht Club. I'm looking forward to working with Kevin and Tom, and who I've admired for years. It is humbling as I look at the people who have gone before me and feeling a connection to the traditions of Little Lake Harbor Yacht Club. Volunteerism is the greatest asset of our club, and I'm looking forward to all of you continuing this tradition. So thank you very much.